Hello, and welcome to Wine 101 on the Road. This is your host, Scott Sullivan, and I'm standing here with Michael Pierce, who's the Director of Enology for the Yavapai College Southwest Wine Center. We're at the loading facility, or the area where they're going to be bringing the fruit in, but we want to talk a little bit about this brand new, one-of-a-kind facility and the evolution of getting a wine producing facility for a two-year college here in Arizona. Michael?
Sure. We're actually just completing construction basically this week on this building. It's been 6 years in the making. The dean of the campus in 2008, Tom Schumacher, kind of helped get the ball going with both viticulture and enology. In 2010, they started planting vines, and they realized they needed a home for those grapes to come, and so we needed a winery. Now, 6 years later, we're going to be crushing fruit here. So this is going to be the first year. We'll be bringing in about 4 tons of fruit. It'll be myself and then the students. So I have a lecture-based class and a practicum class, which is an internship-based class. So it'll be student-run labor. It's helping me produce the wine. The building you see behind us here is actually a repurposed racquetball court. So we needed a home for it, home for the winery. An architect firm out of Seattle named Boxwood designed this. They've had some experience designing other wineries up in Washington. A contractor out of Phoenix named FCI helped put their plan into effect. Now I've come in and we've have some equipment here and we're ready to go. We should start seeing fruit about next week, we're expecting.
So this building was originally what?
It was a racquetball court.
A racquetball.
So there was actually 4 racquetball bays themselves. One of them was a squash ball court, so it had a wooden floor, and it was kind of lightly used, but now we're going to use it every day, so we're repurposing this building entirely. The kind of design directive around it is as low use as possible, as low impact as possible. So we have rainwater catchment system. Another phase, we'd like to have photovoltaic cells to supplement the power of the building. Repurposing the building itself, we really didn't add much infrastructure other than the large roof. So we're really trying to be as sustainable as possible with our procedures here.
And this roof, this entire roof, is actually a rain catchment system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
We have 2 5,000-gallon rain catchment tanks that are full already. They've only been in operation for a couple weeks now, but these monsoons filled them up quicker than I would have imagined.
Okay, well, I'd like to talk a little bit about how this winery is going to function, how they took the different courts in the racquetball court and made them into different specific rooms for different tasks. And the students will come here after they work in class and learn how to grow the grapes and work with vines. They're going to come here and learn how to make wine. And where we're standing right now is going to be the receiving area where the grapes are going to come and going to start to get processed. So we're seeing some new equipment being brought in. Like I said, this is brand new. So we've got the press here. We've got a sorting table, it looks like.
Sure. This is our destemmer. The design of this roof also allowed for morning shade here. So when we bring in the fruit, we'll be able to process all the grapes in the shade, which is great. And then we have some access through this wall. We can go straight in to the racquetball court, which is now the tank room. So there was a lot of thought about how to use this relatively small space very efficiently.
Okay. So how many components or compartments does this building now have?
Well, we have what I would consider the crush pad out here.
Okay.
We have a tank room, which has jacketed glycol stainless steel tanks.
For cooling, yeah?
For cooling, yeah. We have a temperature-controlled barrel room.
Okay.
We have a case storage room, and then the 4th room is our tasting room. So it'll be a student-run tasting room where we can actually sell the wine that we produce here on site.
Okay. We're here and they're actually testing the refrigeration system and some of the other functions. So it's a little noisy inside. So we will not be doing any interviewing or talking inside the tank room or the barrel room. But we'll be moving over to the tasting room and talk about the marketing department. But students that come here for this 2-year program are actually going to be able to do all the processes necessary to have a finished bottle of wine. So you're going to have students manning the station here, the crush pad, as the stuff comes in.
Sure. The idea is we wanted to set up a model of a working winery. This is the industry size of most Arizona wineries, so this is equipment size to what they'll see once they go out and get a job. And they'll also see wine from grapes on the vine to processing to barrel aging all the way to bottling, and then finally learning the marketing and selling component of it. So it's hopefully the full scale is what we're trying to have them experience here.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. So we have these skylights. This used to be open air. Is that's for ambient light inside?
Sure. They refer to those as cow walls. Okay. So most of the light we'll be using will actually be natural light. We won't have to have lights on a lot of the time. The blocks themselves added great insulation.
Sure.
So cooling is very efficient inside the building.
That's great. We have, so we're going to be bringing the grapes in, we're going to be processing them here, sorting them, destemming, crushing, and then putting them into the tanks. Then we're going to move on to, after aging, we're going to move into bottling. You're going to have a bottling line, or?
Yeah, we have a bottling line now. So all of our equipment's on site, actually. We sourced the equipment through Prospero, which is a company out of California. And we're all ready to go. We're just waiting on fruit to ripen right now.
And the first inaugural class for this winery starts when?
Well, really the program's been going for several years now. We had our first graduates of associate, the full program, the 2-year degree, just this last spring, and 5 graduates. All 5 of them are working in the field in some capacity. Wow. So this isn't necessarily the first year of the program, it's just the first year of actually producing wine here at this brand new facility.
What's the capacity of this facility going to be?
3,000 cases is what it's spec'd out to be.
3,000 cases.
Yeah.
And that's in a normal business day, so you could ramp it up if you had to.
No, we're going to ramp up to the 3,000.
Oh,
yeah, we're starting at about 250 cases
okay.
this year. So that's a sizable amount, 4 tons, 8,000 pounds of grapes. But we have plenty of room to keep growing in the future. And as our vineyard blocks kind of come online, we'll kind of grow with the vineyard viticulture program as well.
Fantastic. Okay, well, we're going to actually take a break and move inside and talk to you from the tasting room, kind of a state-of-the-art philosophy behind the whole thing. You're going to love it, and we'll see you in just a few. We're back inside the tasting room at Prescott's Southwest Wine Center, and we're talking with Michael Pierce. He's the director of enology. He's the one that transformed the grapes into the lovely liquid that we all enjoy. So when we left the outside crush pad area, we went through 2 areas. There's a tank room and a barrel room inside. What capacity or what type of tanks are you putting in there?
Right now we have stainless steel, predominantly stainless steel, and we also have a concrete tank. The idea was to give students kind of a variety of different things they might see, different winemaking styles. So we have a glycol chiller, which will be plumbed into both the stainless steel and concrete, so we can temperature control our fermentations. And then also within that same tank room, we'll do our red fermentation in open top bins. So it'll all be hand punch downs. We'll do our cap management right in there, and we'll also be able to control the temperature with the room itself. We can raise or lower the temperature if we want the red ferments to stay cooler or warmer.
So, you know, stainless steel is going to give you that crisp. It's used a lot in whites, more cold processing and stuff. And then we also know what oak influence adds to a red wine or to a Chardonnay and other white wines. But what does the egg do? What's the unique quality of that the egg gives to the winemaker?
Well, the egg's made out of concrete. So the idea is it has the capacity to transfer oxygen in small amounts and micro amounts. They call it microoxygenation. This adds texture and some minerality components to the wine. Your stainless steel ferments, the idea there is you really have a neutral ferment. The vessel itself is not imparting any character into the wine. You're letting the wine speak for itself. Oak, you have those kind of oak characteristics which are pulled either from the oak or the toast level or maybe the age of the oak. Now to add a third component, we have concrete. It's just another stylistic approach we can take. I'm excited to try some whites. We're going to try some Viognier in there this year. Hopefully we can just add some texture to it. in time, once we start processing some more fruit, I'd like to do some trials and do, you know, a stainless steel ferment of the same fruit, and then
with the same fruit.
Yeah, and then a concrete ferment, and then maybe an oak ferment. And then we have an in-house lab here where we can run some numbers and see quantitatively how the wines turned out differently in those different formats. And then in the tasting room, we can allow people to taste those, kind of that experiment of different processes on the same fruit.
So you have a lab right in-house, so you're going to be able to test the quality of the grapes and when you need to add or you know, basically monitor the progression of the fermentations and so forth. Are the students going to be able to learn the chemistry needed to make wine?
Yeah, Science of Winemaking 2, it's VEN 201. It's quality control and analysis. So we go through all of that. They do pH, TA, VA, alcohol, free and total SO2. We'll do nitrogen levels. We'll do malic and GF. And we have all of that equipment here in the Southwest Wine Center. And it's the same equipment they actually see in the chemistry lab. So they'll be able to do lecture-based stuff in the chemistry lab. Then they'll be able to come here and do their practicum and actually do hands-on work with wine as it's being made.
Okay. And we're standing in this really neatly laid out room. This is going to be a tasting. They have a video here. This is also going to be, these are on casters. And so these counters can move out where they can do classroom type stuff, practical stuff. But tell us a little bit about this and what's going to be the final result here regarding wine when it comes to this final room.
Sure. This is the tasting room, so it'll function as, you know, you can come get a flight and taste through some wines. You could buy a bottle. You can sit out on the patio and just enjoy the view. There's two different components here I want to point out that are repurposed. This bar, which is on casters and we can move, this is actually the squash ball court.
Oh, how cool.
So one of these bays had a wooden floor and we repurposed that as this bar. The other repurposed component are these barrel staves. So myself and some students dismantled 30 barrels and we've displayed them up here on the wall. So that's what 30 barrels looks like, all taken out in pieces. We pressure washed them all, laid them out in the sun, and then a mill worker put them up. So starting off, we're hoping to open about 1 day a week just to kind of work out the kinks, and then eventually we'll ramp up, and this will be student run as well. Some functions will take place in here as well.
That's great. So you're going to be able to sell wine that the students made to the public.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, we're already licensed. We have what's called the Series 13 license. It's a farm winery license. That's the state of Arizona allowing us to produce wine and sell it here. So
Wow.
this functions the same as all those other tasting rooms you see in Cottonwood or down in southern Arizona.
So this is going to be a Yavapai College or Southwest Wine Center type label, or are students going to be able to have any input to what the label is?
We're still going to work that out. We have a year to kind of see how that works. We want the students to have some sort of say on it. We just don't know how it's going to function yet. We're developing a logo for the Southwest Wine Center, and we're going to have a marketing plan, and the students will be very much involved in that. Right now we have a student on that committee who's helping us kind of finalize that logo and what the look and feel is going to be.
So you may not even be interested in growing grapes or making wine, but you might be interested in the hotel or the restaurant industry and the retail industry, and so you can actually learn about selling wine or marketing product through this.
Sure. We have the viticulture component and we have the enology component. The third kind of leg of that, this program that we'd like to develop is the entrepreneur part of it. So we have students who want to grow grapes in their backyard. They want to make wine. Maybe they want to own their own vineyard and winery. Maybe they want to work for somebody else. We also have students who go into sales then and do distribution. All a part of that is the compliance and the business aspect, all those things that students coming in might not expect winemaking is. And
Sure.
it's label approval and licensing and kind of getting out there. How do you market? How do you distribute yourself? And we'd like to kind of give them a taste of that. This tasting room will be a part of that, but we'd also like to kind of build in some business plan components to it so they can understand what financing they might need to make either a vineyard or a winery function, and then give them the tools to go out there and get that financing themselves.
That's fabulous. You're going to really be a big impact on this community, this whole Verde Valley, and even the state.
I hope so. The students are excited. That's the best part.
Yeah.
The students love to be here. You're not pulling their teeth to have them come into the winery.
And what's the success, or what are you seeing? Is this program successful? I mean, are you meeting your requirements as far as you filling the classes and so forth?
Both of my 2 fall classes are full. I have a lecture-based class and a practicum class. Some of our other classes, like our Wines of the U.S. class, that's full. Hopefully we'll be thinking about maybe 2 sections in the next couple years. So right now we have 25 students kind of making their way through either a certificate or a degree. We have a total of about 60 or 70 unduplicated students either in viticulture and enology. So yeah, it is successful. Just the building of this Southwest Wine Center has helped. Students now see that the winery's here, they're ready. They've been waiting for this opportunity to come and get the hands-on education. There are a couple other schools out there. They just don't offer what we can offer. They don't have a vineyard the size that we have. They don't have a winery where you can actually make the wine. And also, we're here. You don't have to go to California. So if you want to be a part of winemaking in the Southwest, this is kind of the place to come.
No, it's fabulous. You're going to have people here that want to make Arizona wine, which is great for the state, and I think that the wines each year, if any of you have tasted Arizona wine over the last decade, you realize how much better they're getting as we start to discern and figure out what grapes do well where. This institution is going to help that happen much quicker in leaps and bounds to where we're developing some quality wine. And I want to thank you very much for your time. He's a very busy man. He's got to leave. We're going to pick up outside and talk to you about how you can get involved or how you should stop by and see what's going on over here. And we'll be back with Nikki Check, who's the director of viticulture, and she was in an episode earlier. So we'll pick you up outside, and thanks again. Hi, we're outside of the tasting room at the Southwest Wine Center, and we couldn't get enough of Nikki in a previous episode, so we brought her back. This is the director of viticulture for the Yavapai College's program, and she's in charge of all these vines back here, and a lot of the education that goes on for these students to learn how to grow the grapes. So hi.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
We're standing here in an area that's going to be known as the Founders Square or Circle. There's a wall that if you're interested in donating, your name gets put on a copper plaque, and it's going to be kind of the inaugural year and all the supporters, because, you know, being a college, we definitely rely on the support of the public, and this open tasting room is part of it. You're going to be able to come out and try the wines these students are making. It's fantastic. The neatest thing to me is that the tasting room counter inside is actually on casters, and it can roll out here on days like this. You can be out here tasting wine. So tell us a little bit about these rocks and these vines and what they've done here.
So I mentioned in a previous episode, you know, that this 1 acre of grapevines, when we cultivated it and dug it up to plant, it produced enough rocks to terrace half an acre of grapes. Well, we thought, I have another huge rock pile up the way, and I thought maybe with these gabion baskets at the Southwest Wine Center I can get rid of some of those. But when they excavated to do the road work and kind of all the surrounding area, they actually dug up enough to do all the gabion baskets just in the area that was disturbed. So it's extremely rocky terroir, but it's nice to have it on display. You know, that's really an emblem of what our ground is made of.
So these vineyards right here are the oldest of the property.
Right. Right. So this, it was an experiment kind of in 2010. You know, we'd started the program in 2009, and I knew that people were nervous having students come into their vineyards not knowing how educated they were. And so we asked Merkin Vineyards to sponsor this acre. They agreed. They paid for the install of the acre on Yavapai College property, and it started a whole new thing. And so those vines grew so well, they were such an inspiration that the foundation donated 20 acres of land to the
Fantastic.
college for the sole purpose of growing grapes and really pushing this program forward. It was kind of at a unique time. Around that time, we actually lost 85% of our state funding. So it was a difficult time to start a new program. Also, we had just approved a bond measure before we came up with the bright idea to build the Southwest Wine Center. So a lot of what you see here is the result of private fundraising. We worked really hard, to work with our industry partners and gain support from the community. It was really a wonderful effort, and we're still kind of going on it, but clearly it's been a success. We've got vineyards, we've got a winery, so we're really pleased and really hope we can live up to the expectations that we set for our success.
So now, do you get to play in here?
Well, before Michael came along, I did make a barrel of wine in the whole nursing lab down there, which was really fun. I'm glad we've taken it to a professional level. And, vineyard and winery people have very separate jobs, but they're so interconnected that
Sure.
Michael and I will be talking all the time through harvest when we have fruit on, testing for sugar percentage levels, acidity levels, talking about management practices, crop loads the whole year. So they actually say that about 80% of a wine is made in the field. So I'm 80% of the winemaker of this facility anyways, along with my students.
So now these students are going to be out in the field, and some of the advanced students or some of the really creative or forward-thinking students are going to have their idea of what their wine they want to make. Are they going to have any input to the canopy management or to the which blocks they want to work on?
We've planted in 1 acre blocks for the most part, so that that's a really good standard, to extrapolate from, and students, I hope to, grant students a certain amount of leeway with their management practices in a block so that they can see the results, on a smaller scale. But of course, there's oversight, and same with the winery. Michael is going to be responsible for the bulk of the wine production to, be able to create a product with high quality, but also, have kind of a second tier of student experiments. Whether they're good or not, they're educational.
Certainly.
And it's wonderful for people to be able to try.
So,
Actually, I really feel trying bad wine is, even more educational than trying good wine sometimes.
yeah, in many cases. So the students will actually be involved in saying, okay, we want to make the wine. There's so many different options. You have a lot of choices once the grapes are grown. So they're going to have input into that. Are they going to have any input into when they're picked? They going to have any input? They want a little more sugar, a little less sugar, the style of wine they're going to be making?
Hierarchy is good sometimes. Michael and I are going to, probably reserve those final decisions because we are trying to have a business model, but we work really closely with students, and when they have ideas they want to play around with, we're usually pretty receptive to that. So
yeah, you guys certainly have been receptive to the needs of this community, and you're doing a great job. We'd like to thank everybody that was involved in putting this together. There's some private wine growers, winemakers, a lot of funding from the public sector, but also a lot of diligence for the legal aspects that had to take place to come and play. I know you had a lot to do with some of the laws getting revisited and improved. So we'd like to thank you. And for all the viewing audience, this is a phenomenal idea that's actually a reality. And it's happened overnight. It literally has happened in just a few years. So this year is the inaugural year. They're going to be having wine tasting and stuff coming just down the road. But you can come by and see what's going on around here at any time. School starts when?
Next week. So just a couple more days here in the last week of August. We get cooking.
So for all of you, we hope you enjoyed this. We certainly did, and we really want to thank you, Nikki, and everybody involved with bringing this. We're going to come by. We're going to see this. And this is a very pivotal step in the Arizona wine industry.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. We'll see you down the road.